if you sit back?
I'm fine. Sit back. Sure.
Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, doesn't that look good, Victor?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in our business, we call this take two.
It's called what?
Take two.
Take two?
Yes.
Take two.
All right. Joe, 36 years ago, when you signed on for that first season with Casa Manana, did you ever think it would go on this long?
Not a chance in, I won't say the word. No. No, I honestly thought it was going to be 1 year. Just 1 year. It was like subbing, into. But then it had its own life. It started, say, you must do it now because it's another season, another show's here. Decide where you're going to go. And I really didn't have any place to go at the time, So I took that season and then another season, and then you start settling into, and you start building your own home there, your own kitchen. You start cooking your own foods, whatever. But that's what happened, No, I'm sure you've had that kind of experience too.
But why Fort Worth and why Casa Manana? What was it that just kept you here and kept you so involved?
Well, first of all, it was a season that was open here. And Mel Dacus hired me through Bob Turoff, who's a director, and he directed the season here. And I left Beverly, Massachusetts, that I was contracted for that season. And I said, Steve Slane was the producer. I said, Steve, there's a job in Fort Worth, and it has 8 seasons, and it's 8 weeks of work, and I've never been down in Texas, and it'd be great. Can I buy out of my contract? He says, no, you can't buy out of the contract, but what you can do is you can always recommend conductors to me. So over a period of time, that's what I did. I recommended conductors, and it had to be for 10 years. He kept calling. That's how I ended up in Fort Worth, Now, as to Fort Worth, I came from a small town. As a matter of fact, I came from a village, Preston Village in Pittsburgh, a small town. And Fort Worth, not as small as that, but Fort Worth is a very pleasant. I was a little frightened at things like, I'm going to do Fair Lady. How do I do Fair Lady with the Southern accent, What do you do there? And then I soon found out that when they sing, they don't sing with an accent. All of a sudden, they come out with their King's English, So all of those fears kind of went out, and I just kept working. Then I start meeting people like Bobbie Wygant, who made home more pleasant.
Thank you. Joe, here you are about to have opening night of the final show that you will do with Casa Manana. What are your feelings about all of your life at Casa Manana coming to an end?
Well, I don't think it's coming to an end. I honestly don't think it's coming to an end. It sounds cliche, but it's like the beginning of something else. It's like the beginning of something else, and I'm really looking forward to it because it is going to be something else. It's like almost a creative process that says, look for something that's different. If you look for something different that hasn't been done, said, whatever, you're in that unfolding creative process. If it's the same, then nothing's created, right? It's like the same child, whatever it is. Starts, yes, it's going to be a new venture. I don't know whether it's going to be another place, I may be here, but it may be another place.
So you're not thinking of this as retirement?
Of course I am. If I don't do that, they're going to put me to work right away. I don't necessarily believe in work. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of anti-work. Somewhere somebody started this work business. The work business started when some entrepreneur, came out and said, There are people here, if I could use them and I could, all of a sudden, I could make some money from other people. They're workers and, you know, do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
It's a silliness, but that's what it is. I honestly don't believe. I believe in, there's something more important to me than anything else, and that is a belief in almost a nothing. Because a nothing tells you really into another direction, you know. I believe in nothing, in terms of work.
How do you think you will spend your time, though, once you leave Casa Manana?
How will I spend my time? Doing nothing. Same line. Well, it's going to be a travel. Travel, for instance, we had our my wife and I, Lexa Northington, Stecko now, we had our reservation to go to Provence, southern France, on the 23rd of April. And on the 11th of April, they bombed the World Trade Center. So we canceled the trip out of fear for flying at that time, you know. So we still have that open, Provence. If you'd like to join us, we'll be very happy to have you come out with us. Have you been to Provence?
Yes, I have.
See that? You've been everywhere.
Not really, but I have been there. Joe, are you sad about leaving Casa Manana?
Sad about leaving? Well, it wouldn't be human if you weren't sad, you know. It's not like I'm in that feeling of running away, you know, off to something else. Hey, it's not that feeling at all. I spent a lot of time, 36 years, you know, with the people, with the place, and Casa was home. There's a lot of time spent there. Sometimes early in the morning for those rehearsals, and late at night for performances. You know, it was a place where I lived. So I can say, I'm not sad. Well, of course it's sad. You know. But not so completely sad that I stay here, you know. Stay at Casa, you know. I think it's time to go.
Will there be any tears?
Tears? Probably not. Probably not. Hopefully not. You know, tears are kind of a relief of this and that, and I don't know. What do you think? You think I'm going to cry?
I don't know. I think it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. And you know, now that I wallow through what I'm just going through now, I probably shed a few tears. Yeah. I don't know how large, where they'll be. Are they going to roll off? Am I going to embarrass me? No, not that kind of thing. A man, you know. A man is not supposed to do that, is he?
I think it's perfectly all right if he does.
It's perfectly all right. And if anybody asks me, I'm going to tell them you said it's all right to do. And we'll go from there.
Joe, is it possible that you ever would come back to Casa Manana to do another show?
Well, I think that's a very, very simple. I'm glad you asked it because it's a simple answer. And the simple answer is that if I'm asked, and depending on what the show is and what the conditions are and what I'm doing at the time, absolutely. I really do love it here, you know.
Okay. All right, just one second. Hang on, Victor. Is there any reason why West Side Story is the final show that you're doing?
No, it could have been any show that works, and certainly West Side Story works. You don't want to do shows that don't work, and a lot of shows that don't work, you know, because it's one of those things that they did it and rehearsed it and put it on. They couldn't go anyplace else, so they did that, and that's what shows, you know. And West Side Story is not one of those. Why West Side Story? It's a challenge. The music is by a genius, you know. And if you do music by a genius, you kind of stand up and say, I'm working with a genius, you know. You know, whether he liked it or not, you know, I'm working with a genius. And it really is. It really is. He did some technical things there, and I amused myself over and over and over again. But I look and say, why did he do this? Why did they? There is, in music, there is a thing called the augmented fourth. And early in music, that augmented fourth was called Diabolus in musica fictus, which is the devil in music. That interval, La Maria, Maria, that's an augmented fourth. Boy, boy, crazy boy, that's an augmented. All through the score he has that. And he dared to use what, through the centuries, musicians and composers, including Beethoven, Mozart, and everybody else, didn't dare use. Now, if that's not a creative process, saying, I'm going to do something different, when he did it, it wasn't his fault. Whatever it was in his mind, in his whatever, helped him come out. You know, I love the creative process. It's strange. I think I mentioned to you, Louis Edelman, a playwright in New York, the close friend, and he said, Joe, musicians are strange. They hear sounds. You know, other people don't hear. He said, but he did it mystically. They hear sounds. I wish I could hear the sounds. Anyway. You know those tears you were talking about? Got a couple.
Okay, I think we have everything. Yeah, we can do the questions now. Joe, are you considering this a retirement?
No, I think it's just another adventure that Bobbie Wygant may join us to go to Provence.
Okay. Joe, what are your feelings about this being your very last show for Casa Manana?
Well, if my feeling was that this is my last on this earth, then of course I'd be sad about it.
Okay,
You know.
that's fine. Are you sad about leaving Casa Manana?
Would you ask it again?
Are you sad about leaving Casa Manana?
No. I'm not sad, I'm angry. I'd rather not leave Casa Manana. The Casa Manana now is going to be renovated in this beautiful thing, and we're not going to be part of it.
Joe, will there be any tears from you?
The tears? Gee, tears are marvelous, aren't they? Tears are marvelous. The tension inside, all of a sudden, a few tears takes care of a lot of things. You know, and if you resist those tears, then you're kind of pessimistic. You know.
That's good. Is there any reason why the final show for you is West Side Story?
You know, I really don't know. I don't know whether or not it was my doing, others doing. I really don't know.
Okay. In your retirement, what are you going to do?
Your retirement? I have to admit shamefully that I'll probably do nothing. Which I prefer, you know.
Okay. Okay. Could you have imagined 36 years ago when you signed on for that one season that you'd still be here?
No. No. And no again.
Okay, fine. Joe, what was it about Casa Manana and Fort Worth that kept you here all these years?
It's such a combination of so many things, you know. Even the Cowboys are in that, you know, from childhood.
Okay, that's good. All right, just a minute. Okay. Joe, is it possible that you would ever come back to Casa Manana to do a show?
Yes, yes, and yes. And yes.
Okay. All right. That should do it. That should do it.